There's no question. I didn't like him, but I feel so bad that he didn't have to die that way. He just wouldn't go with the modern medicine at the time, is my view. The guy was a friggin' genius. He was so smart in terms of keeping on track to getting stuff done, and look what he achieved. But he was difficult, because he wasn't always right, but he was right so much that the mistakes just didn't matter. And I thought, the people that spend enough time with him know what I'm talking about. It occurred to me, because I know Wozniak too, not as well as Jobs, but they really needed each other. They really needed each other, because Woz understood. He understood what let me draw an analogy here for you. I think it's a good one. Take the situation going on right now with NVIDIA, AMD, to a certain extent Intel, maybe Broadcom, where policymakers in Washington have decided that we can't sell those chips to countries like China or Russia or whatever the list is of adversaries. That's bad policy. And here's why. What I learned from Jobs was the computer, the chip, is the queen bee. It's the queen bee. But it has no value without the honeybees, which are the programmers around it that form a community that spend all of their energy writing code that works with the queen bee, which is the chip, that pushes out its influence, because every coder that becomes familiar with that firmware, that Wozniak computer, writes to that platform, is part of the honeybees. Jobs understood that. He said, I've got to get every honeybee writing for the Mac, writing for the OS of Apple. It's the same with the NVIDIA chip. We need to sell it to everybody, even adversaries, because within that country of Russia or China is some genius kid, you don't know who he is or she is, that's going to write the next piece of firmware or advance AI from the queen bee, the chip, the American queen bee. The minute you shut down a market and your adversary sends their queen bee in, which is Huawei. We can't let that happen, because I don't think the lawmakers understand what Jobs understood. You create the hive with the queen in the middle. That's the chip. You convince every bee around to make the honey, which is the software, and that is the AI in this case. You make it off that chip. And when you advance the chip again, everybody knows how to take that set and stay within the American chip that you're advancing. Maybe you keep them one generation behind, maybe that's the policy, but you don't ever let an adversary put their queen bee in the middle of the hive. You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
And that is what Jobs did. That was the war between Gates and Jobs on the OS, on the operating system.
Yeah, I was thinking about the App Store and
it's the same thing.
ecosystem.
It's exactly the same thing. And so when I see this policy now, I go out of my mind. I mean, the first thing I do is get on a plane and go to Washington, because AI is so important for all of the investments I've made. I do not want to be putting Chinese honey into my companies at all. It's that simple.
So for that person that's stewing over their ideas now, if they had just a couple of minutes with you and they asked you the question, Kevin, I'm about to start this business. I'm about to go on this journey of trying to go from zero to something in my life. Is there anything else that I need to know as I set up on this sort of next 10 years of my life? I'm 21 years old. Because I think every entrepreneur has like their principles. You talked about one, which is the signal versus noise thing. Are there any other foundational principles that you think are conducive with success that you might have learned?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm telling 21-year-olds now is, look, Go work for 24 months in a sector you love, that you're passionate about, even if they don't pay you. Go in there and be an apprentice. If you're that passionate, you're going to be able to convince some manager to go work for free in there. They're going to recognize your passion and they're going to bring you in. Do that first. Most young entrepreneurs say, nah, I don't want to work for anybody. I said, yeah, you do actually. You do want to work for somebody. You want to just understand how all the cogs move. Just 24 months. And after that, launch. The first one will probably fail. You're going to start with your parents giving you $10,000 or whatever it is, friends and family. But you will have the baseline knowledge of your industry. You will know who the participants are. You will understand how it works. And you'll have a much higher probability of success. But the key is to launch sort of in your mid to early 20s, because you need to burn a few years failing. And that matters.
On the point of how to lead people, when people hear about Jobs' approach, they sometimes assume that you also have to be an arsehole. And this is the conflicting thing, because the world has changed since Jobs was in a leadership position. Things have gone a little bit more soft, shall one say. Have you seen all types of leadership win out in that regard? The direct, signal-focused, kind of brash approach, but also the kind approach?
I don't think kind works. I think respect works. The same number of assholes are out there being successful now as they were back in the 90s. It doesn't matter whether you're an asshole or whether people like you or not. I mean, people get so stuck on this stuff. It's the team you're building are not your friends. They are the team you're building to execute on a mandate. Your customers come first. They're more important. And then, of course, the employees, and how are they respected or not. There are people that work for me I don't like. It doesn't matter. I respect them. I respect their ability to execute. And that, above all, is the most important thing. If you start getting into interpersonal relationships, you will fail, because you may have to fire that person one day. People that hire family take huge risk. Nepotism's a horrible disease. It's some of the greatest private companies on earth never let the kids run them. They just put them on the board and they hire professional management. That's how they keep wealth multi-generational. I think about Tetra Pak, for example. People may not know that name, but it's a massive successful company. IKEA. I mean, it's sort of, you have to learn those lessons. It's about respect in both directions. It's not about likability or softness or some social metric. It really isn't. And trying to redefine leadership that way because it's on trend, it's not going to work.
I started my first business at 12 years old, and then I started more businesses at 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And at that time, what I didn't realize is that being a founder with no money meant that I also had to be the marketeer, the sales rep, the finance team, customer service, and the recruiter. But if you're starting a business today, thankfully there's a tool that wears all of those hats for you. Our sponsor today, which is Shopify. Because of all of its AI integrations, using Shopify feels a bit like you've hired an entire growth team from day one, taking care of writing product descriptions, your website design, and enhancing your product's images. Not to mention the bits you'd expect Shopify to handle, like the shipping, like the taxes, like the inventory. And if you're looking to get your business started, go to shopify.com/Bartlett and sign up for a $1 per month trial. That's shopify.com/Bartlett. What about finding, the definition of the word company is group of people. So in terms of finding great people, is there anything that you can offer to entrepreneurs that are listening about how you've done that and what you've learned over time, the mistakes you've made with assembling your group of people?
Yeah, hiring them without testing them first. I've made that mistake.
So you now test them first?
Yeah. Just because someone says they can execute doesn't mean they can. I mean, it's, of course, you're an interviewer, you're not going to say, I can't execute. You're looking at their past, you're saying, this looks terrific. It looks like you can fit in, but it's on a piece of paper. They haven't been road tested. They haven't been put in a situation where they have to make individual decisions that have consequence. The people you want are able to make decisions that have consequence. Good consequence, bad consequence. You don't know yet. But they have to be able to make that decision on their own without calling you up because you gave them that mandate. Maybe you put a set of parameter, you could spend $1 million, no more, without calling me, but whatever it is, I don't want to hear from them. I just want the outcome.
What about resilience and hard work? How much does that matter to you? Because I know you said they can work when, as long as they get the job done. But are you trying to figure out if they are a bit of a psychopath in terms of hard work, if they're possessed, obsessed?